Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather today. I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin. I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for January 25th, 2026. We do keep additional graphics available at tpatw.com, and we maintain a patient weather storefront on Amazon. Amazon purchases made through our patient weather storefront do support the activities of patient weather. Looking at Sunday's weather map, obviously we have high pressure, cold, frigid, terribly cold high pressure, pushing all the way down the plains, literally from the Dakotas to Texas. There is a low pressure center sitting over West Virginia, dangling its cold front all the way down the spine of the Appalachians, and unsettled weather everywhere east of the Mississippi. And that, of course, terrible wintertime mix across much of the easternmost portion of the country, especially the Northeast. Looking at our vitality index, which is a composite map of the different weather elements that will have some kind of weather stress, you'll notice that we have something going on in California and the Four Corners. Again, on the back side of that cold air rushing down the plains across eastern Montana, eastern Wyoming, and the Dakotas, we have another active area, with a little bit of an active area when some instability right here along the Gulf. But the big focus of activity is, of course, the east, everywhere east of the Mississippi, up and down the Appalachians, with the most significant area of impact, of course, right here through the Carolinas and on up into Maryland. Looking at pressure change, we have rising pressure. This is the backside of that high. This is rising pressure across eastern Montana, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. However, we have rising pressure all the way across the entire state of California, through the Four Corners, and then clipping that south and southernmost portions of Texas. The big story, of course, is the falling pressure everywhere east of the Mississippi. You'll note that falling pressure goes all the way down to central Florida and all the way up into the southernmost portions of New England. I'll leave a little bit of Maine out of this, but that's Sunday. Monday comes for Maine. And of course, that center and focus of that deep low pressure is here throughout the easternmost half of the country. Looking at temperature change, and this of course may look a little bit unusual, but it is not. For much of the country, the cold has already arrived. We're already freezing and cold with terrible temperatures. Note that the cold temperatures finally reach southern Texas, southern Louisiana, into Alabama and Mississippi. But note, this is still Sunday, just before the full force of that cold air everywhere. We are still seeing some mild temperatures here across New England, mild temperatures right along the eastern seaboard, and mild temperatures down here in Georgia down to Florida. Dew point temperatures reflect much the same, although we see falling dew point temperatures here in the Four Corners, falling dew point temperatures along the westernmost portions of the Gulf, and then we still do have those rising dew point temperatures here in the Northeast. Looking at the change in oxygen availability, and this is a different story than you would see from thinking about just looking at the individual weather elements, and we have a risk of migraine across the state of California, all the way across portions of the Four Corners, especially Arizona, the western half of New Mexico, and the western half of Colorado and Utah. We also have a risk of migraine across Montana, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. Interesting aspect of the migraine risk here from southeastern Texas, across Louisiana, into Mississippi, and really much of the state of Alabama. We do have a risk of asthma and arthritis, basically that low pressure falling areas stretching all the way from Arkansas north to Minnesota, Wisconsin, across the lakes to the Ohio Valley, down the spine of the Appalachians and everywhere east, across central and northern Florida, and all the way up the east coast into New England. Note the most rigorous portions of this asthma arthritis risk is here across Georgia into South Carolina, right along the Atlantic coast into Delaware and New Jersey, and then picking up here in eastern Ohio, up across Michigan. And the interesting aspect here is all of the Canadian cities from Windsor to Quebec in that arthritis and asthma risk. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated, and if you hurt, let us know where